Okay, so this time we've got someone, let's see, their parents aren't happy that they're playing video games all day. They're kind of bored of them too. They are 19, not in college because they deferred for a year due to online learning. They don't think that's real, and their parents agreed with them on that. Okay, good that you've got the buy-in there, especially if they're paying for it. And you can't get a job with the pandemic and recession going on. I would like to know how much you've really tried. It's definitely hard to get a job right now, but if you make that a 40-hour a week thing to apply for jobs, you can still find a way to get them. I'm not saying you'll get them in a week. I'm not saying you'll get them in 2 weeks. But if you really do make applying for a job a full time job, even as a 19-year-old with new skills, there's there are jobs to be found. You can run faster than the people you're competing with and get them. And it looks like you were going to major in political science. So that is the first red flag. Well, that's not the first red flag, but that's the red flag we're going to deal with first. So poli sci isn't a real major. I actually spent a semester majoring in political science, a younger, more foolish version of me. You don't want to do that. You're about to spend like 80 grand, give or take, on a major that is the same as having generic degree. And what I mean by that is there's no poli sci degree. There's no poli sci jobs. There's no, oh, well, you can't have this job. We're not going to hire you for this job unless you have a political science degree, undergraduate degree. That's not a thing. All of those jobs are things that really any degree qualifies you for. And if the education bubble pops, we might find that any high schooler can do, or almost any high schooler can do. But that hasn't happened yet, so we won't go too deep into that. Um, okay, last time we had the Great Recession, the last serious recession we added money to the economy. We increased the money supply, and college costs went up by about 5 to 10% per year for every year. I was actually in college while that was happening. Uh, Deferring is a little bit of a dicey thing because that's going to happen. I would very much expect, but maybe I'll be wrong. Regardless, you've already deferred, so we can't really do anything about that. If you do plan on going, though, you probably don't want to delay that further. You want to go, but let's go with a new major. And what I mean by that is, what do you want to do with this political science degree? Like I said, it's only good for generic degree jobs effectively, and you'd be so much better off with a specialized degree then maybe, that specialized degree that could actually get you a job, like nursing, for example, or engineering. You have an engineering degree and you instead go choose to do something political science related. That's fine. They're going to be perfectly happy with your engineering degree. Vice versa is not true. But my guess when you say political science degree is you're thinking something like, what? You're going to be a talk show host. You're going to go into politics. You're going to maybe go on TV and do that's a dead medium and do political data analysis. Like those aren't things. So it's not that they're not things. That's not fair. Those are things, but you don't get more qualified for those things by getting a degree. If you want to be a talk show host right now, for example, don't go be a political streamer instead. They make more money, and you can just do that right now. You can go study how to do that right now. You can go look up Tim Pool, David Pakman. Those are a couple names that come to mind of people who are successfully doing something like that and figure out, okay, what are they doing? Can you match it? Can you do it better? Can you catch up to them? You in no way need a degree to go start a YouTube channel on politics. If you actually want to go into politics, again, a political science degree doesn't help you there. Congress is all lawyers. I'm not recommending you go get a law degree, but to get into politics, you need more influence, not a college degree. Um, Specifically, what I mean is you need more influence. Capital, money. Money is good influence. You don't want to be spending down your influence, your capital, on a degree that doesn't really help you. You could spend your money on something that is going to make you more money, like a computer science degree, then make more money with that, and then that money is influence that can help you get into politics because it means you can buy more campaigning when you're trying to fight your way onto a school board, fight your way onto the city council, etc. That's helpful. So don't spend down your capital now to get a political science degree. That's not going to impress any voters. That's not going to get you appointed to anything, and it's seriously not a prerequisite for anything. Again, we can look at the Supreme Court. You can put a cat or a table on the Supreme Court if that's what gets appointed. They don't require a degree or anything. Nothing in politics is going to be like, oh, you need a political science degree. So I really think what you're thinking with this political science degree is, oh, political science seems like an interesting thing to study, and it is, but that's something you do on your own time, on your free time. That's a hobby that you go, hey, I'm going to study politics. I'm going to follow politics really closely. Or I'm going to see what is a first past the post versus pluralism, how all these different things work. Why do we use the system we do in America? That's totally fine as a hobby, but you do that as a hobby. You study that because you're interested in it. You don't do that as, hey, this is what I'm going to spend a lot of money to go get a degree in that then isn't really going to help me, isn't really going to be competitive. You're probably thinking, oh, there's lots of these any degree jobs. Just having a degree, generic degree is enough jobs. That's not true anymore. That was true in my parents' generation. That's much less true for me. And I'm, what, you're 19, so I'm good 12 years older than you. Yeah, that's going to be even less true still for you when you get out of college on the other end there. Again, when 13% of Americans had college degrees, yes, having a degree was enough to get most jobs, etc. Just having that degree meant you could go do other stuff. Now I think we're at 40% of Americans have degrees and 70% of college-aged people are getting degrees. You don't want a generic degree. They're not competitive enough. Instead, you should pick something that is going to be in demand on the other side. Something that you are very confident is going to be employable on the other side for at least 10 years. If you're going to spend, let's say, 80 grand on getting a degree, because the school that you told me you're going to here, it's probably going to cost that. It doesn't cost that now, but I think you're going to see some upticks over the next few years, and it doesn't cost significantly less than that now. That's going to get those degrees that are going to be good for a job, a decently paying job for at least 10 years on the other side. That means things like engineering, nursing, computer science, accounting can work, things like that. Those are in demand. There's employers who want those things right now, and you can expect there to be for another 10 years or so. Some of those are a little more vulnerable to outsourcing than others, but those ones at least should be able to hold on for 10, if not 30 years. You might not get a full career out of them, but you'll get enough. It's hard to find things you can guarantee you'll get a career out of. That's just the way the world is moving. The nursing is probably good for it. The boomers are aging out. They're going to need more nursing care for at least the next 15 years, so that's good for a while. Anyway, or you could go the trades. It's going to be welding, electrician, plumbers. Those aren't going to be outsourced and to someone who can do them in India or in China for a third of the price. If none of those jobs sounded fun to you that I listed, those trades, those, math heavy, science heavy degrees, that's, unfortunate. I'm sorry. Unfortunately, that's why they're in demand, because most people don't want to do them. Most people kind of want to do what you do, where they go, hey, I'm going to get an interesting, a fun degree like poli-sci or history or underwater basket weaving. Okay, I know underwater basket weaving gets played too much, but it's because it represents what we're doing here. Art history, or all these things. I don't mean to knock history. Most of the degrees out there are not going to be heavily employable. That's why the list I gave you is unfortunately so small. Or if you don't like any of those options, military's always a great option. It is hard work, definitely, but it keeps your costs very down. And if you just invest, even though you're not getting paid great, you're getting your guaranteed effective 40 hours of pay, and that's that's pretty good, and that they're going to be willing to pay for your education on the other side. It's a pretty good deal. But if your family's willing to pay for you, that's cool. But honestly, I'd still be hesitant to spend down your family's wealth. I'd be especially hesitant to spend down your family's wealth on a poli sci degree. Seriously, get something more competitive than that. It really is going to help you. What else do I want to say on this? Okay, so let's go ahead and sit down, get serious about researching for the next week or maybe 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. From that list I gave you, plus maybe a few more that you can independently verify, yes, I have a high level of certainty that not only are there going to be a couple jobs for this type of thing on the other side 4 years from now, 5 years from now when you're done with college, but there's not very many people who want to do them. So there's going to be definitely, this job is definitely going to be an employable skill on the other side because not very many people are going into them and employers want them. Again, that's mostly not going to be the fun stuff. But seriously, look through those, then from those, figure out one or two that make sense, narrow it down to one, and then look pretty hard into what that job actually means. I don't expect it to be fun, sunshine, rainbows, but figure that out and do it if you want to kind of navigate through your life in a way that's going to be a bit easier. I know it sucks. I'm telling you to go do something hard like math for engineering, but it really does make things easier for you in the long run. You're not fighting with 100 other people who have a poli-sci degree for that one job. Instead, you're fighting with 3 other people who have engineering degrees for that job because there's a lot more employability for engineers than there are for poli-sci majors. And again, if you actually want to do the poli-sci stuff, that's fine, but go do it right now. You don't need the degree. Seriously, just go do it. Go create the YouTube channel. Go figure out, hey, how are you going to work your way into politics? If there's age requirements on the political stuff, go do things that are going to increase your influence. That means network heavily. That means make money, etc. Okay. So second, we've sort of solved the, hey, you're going to go do political science in a semester. You've got one more of those because you deferred for a year. Please don't go do that. Do your research, figure it out. And that's going to kill a couple weeks of time, you seriously getting into the research of what you're really going to do next, and then you're going to change your major when you actually go to this school that you've told me here. And that is going to serve your future better, I promise. What else do we have? Okay, so then you've got your parents getting on you and you're bored too. You being bored too is great. It's sort of your body's feedback mechanism to you, hey, I feel a little guilty. I love video games too. Don't get me wrong, but if you play too many for too long without doing enough productive stuff, your body kind of punishes you. It tells you, hey, I should be doing better. I should be being more productive. So that you feel that means, hey, go be productive. This is why after you go for a run, you almost always feel better. Finishing a run is great. Finishing exercise is great. You know you did something productive and your body sort of gives you some nice chemical rewards for it. Makes you, even if you had an unproductive day, go, oh, hey, that was good. So what I'm going to suggest is let's go be more productive. After those couple weeks of figuring out what it's going to be, you can either go on a self-improvement binge and do lots more exercise. You can start working on skills that, hey, are potentially going to be useful to you in the future. If you figured out what your job is going to be, maybe you see skills that are going to be related to that. Maybe learning a new language would be related to what your future job is going to be, because maybe you're going to do nursing and you think knowing Chinese would be great for that in the future. Hint, it might be. Or Spanish, take your pick there. You could do similar things. Doesn't have to be quite that specific. You could go, hey, I'm going to learn to pick locks. I'm going to learn to, let's see, we said language. So I'm going to learn to change the oil on my car. I'm going to learn to create websites. Any of those are things that if you don't know how to do them now, there's a decent chance you'll need to know how to do them in the future. So going and investing time in learning them now when you're feeling kind of bored, feeling kind of antsy is good because it's saving you time in the future. And that time in the future is more valuable because in the future, you are going to have a more in-demand, more employable skill. So that's something we want to do. That's very much something we want to do. You're making money for yourself in the future by going, hey, let me learn this thing that I might need to know in the future now. But also, it's going to get your parents off your back. If you're being productive, if you're going, hey, I'm learning Spanish, I'm learning Chinese, I'm learning French, or I just learned how to pick a lock this week. Now I'm learning how to change the car on Wednesday, or change the oil on the car on Wednesday. Now I'm creating websites for 2 weeks. Okay, I've got that. Cool. Yes, how to create a website will change as time goes on, but once you've learned that to a degree, it's going to help. You're going to re-pick it up faster, etc. And those are just examples. There's others you could find, but if your parents see you being productive like that, since you're staying at home as a 19-year-old, and I understand why, the pandemic happened, you deferred for a year, they were on board with it, they will get off your back. You'll feel less pressure from them, and you'll feel better about yourself. So that's what I would recommend, unless you actually want to go find a job. And if you want to go find a job, that's a good idea. Seriously, the power of investing. If you can go make even a few $1,000s now while you're 19, get that invested, get that rolling with the compound interest, just throw it into an index fund, S&P 500 type stuff. That'll be fine. You don't need to get more complicated than that at this point. That's going to have a really powerful effect. Like investing when you're in your older teens like that, excuse me, a little acid reflux cough there. Investing when you're in your teens like that is going to save you a lot of money and potentially shave off when you can retire, help bring that down, let you do that earlier, or let you pivot into investment property or something like that much earlier in your life. So I strongly recommend that, especially if you're feeling bored right now. In terms of finding that job, if you do make it a 40-hour-a-week job to apply for jobs, you are working harder than the other people that are looking right now. The other people are going, oh, it's a pandemic. Oh, there's been some super unemployment stuff, even if there isn't right now. Oh, this, that. You can outrun some of your competitors there, enough of your competitors that you should be able to find work. It might not be work that you want to do. It might not be fun like political science, but it will be something. It might be, oh, hey, I am moving boxes around an Amazon warehouse. Yeah, that's not great, but you can do it. It might be, oh, hey, I am going to go do some DoorDash stuff. Yeah, that's not great. That doesn't make good money. If you factor in depreciating value on your car for miles, etc., if you actually do your taxes right for that, you can make not great, but not terrible money doing that. Okay money for a 19-year-old anyway. So, like, you could totally go that route and do those things, assuming your family is on board with you leaving the house, coming back. You probably have older parents there who might be less interested in that, depending on where they are with, hey, are you risking bringing sickness back into the house? And if they are, okay, work is probably out for you unless it's electronics. You just go hard down that self-improvement route. Was there anything else I wanted to cover here? We talked that poli-sci major. We talked playing video games. Again, games are great. You don't need to feel bad in general about playing video games, but you do if your body is telling you, if your mind is telling you, hey, I'm getting antsy, I'm doing this too much. Go be productive. Self-improvement is great. And we talked about college, increasing costs. We talked about power of money, which was kind of a freebie there. Okay. Yeah. So that's going to do it. If anyone else has a question, want me to look into something for them, help them out, I'm happy to do these things. Just hit me up with a message on Discord, Twitter, or you can throw it in the comments and we'll find a way to connect down there and I'll quote you a price. Later, guys. Temporal out.